congregation has been maybe in a place of prayer, probably connection and I'm speaking in tongues can happen. But if it's a normal congregation that is mixed up with people, begin by giving a word of encouragement.
Because people come to church for different reasons. And half of the time when someone is coming to church to seek the face of God, they actually maybe one of all may be desperate to seek to for God to respond or having to feel a connection with God. And so when you start doing that personal thing that is between you and the Holy Spirit, you may lose your crowd. You may lose someone or some people in that moment. So for me, I feel if as a worship leader, have a balance. Don't overdo the tongues, or do them sometime after you've already captured the spirit of the congregant, and then you can push from there. But starting and pushing on for a while at the beginning of your session, I feel for me that you can lose some people in that moment.
All right. Okay. Sir George, are you provoked enough?
No, sir. I think Julie has said it all, so I'll pass on that one.
All right. All right. Okay. There's so many questions that are coming in, and we are. Some want us to jump ahead of the gun and all this about speaking in tongues. This is how I normally put it. If we are meeting in a church, in a congregation where we are having to minister and to have a fellowship together, remember the church is being attended by both believers and non-believers. So there are people who really know God, they are deep as much as we normally put it, and there are people who don't even know what God is. They've just come in, they just want to try something new. And then once they meet, you find a worship leader begins the service by speaking in tongues and telling everybody, speak in tongues, don't look at me, don't look at what I'm doing. Why are you looking at me? You did not come to look at me. We normally see now. My question will be, what do you want him to do, or what do you want her to do? Yet she doesn't really know what speaking in tongues really mean. And so my challenge is always to the worship leader is let's begin from known to unknown. There are people who are congregating. Everybody can give thanks. Even a thief can give thanks. When you tell them, let's lift up our hands and give thanks to God, or we sing this song as we give thanks to God. They went to steal yesterday, or a drunkard fell in a ditch yesterday, but somehow, for some reason, they came home safe. So they have a reason to thank God. So if you tell them, let's thank God in this, they can relate. As we sing songs of thanksgiving and you pause and tell them, just go before the Lord, thank God for what he has done for you throughout this week, they will do so. And then you move them to another stage on now, because you have thanked God. Don't you think it is important for you to surrender to God? Because if God can take good care of you despite your lifestyle, why can't you just give him your life and surrender to him? This is a person that you're going with them on a journey of coming to a point of realizing and magnifying God in his image. And so it comes to a point of surrendering to God and really knowing that indeed God really loves me and God cares for me. And you advance with them to a level that you don't even need to tell them to pray or to speak in tongues, or they can even be filled at that very moment. So my approach will be on this question of gifts of the Holy Spirit. Gifts are familiar to the believers who are congregating in one place. The apostles, when they were in the upper room, they were all filled and they all began speaking in tongues. But that for that to happen, they walked with Jesus Christ for 3 years. They were familiar with what is happening. Jesus promised them. They were aware of what was going on. And so it was not something new to them. That's why Peter was very courageous and bold enough to explain what was going on. Now, when you tell people to just begin speaking in tongues, and there is something we are also doing, we begin by chanting. And we'll be talking about this in our next sets. You begin a worship service by chanting, by, some people think you're screaming, something they start looking at you because they don't know how they're supposed to respond to that song. And you wonder, now what do we do? So we are going to look at the habits of our worship leader. unless someone is being provoked to do something. But I want us to switch as we do so. There are questions that are coming in. Someone is asking, is it possible to minister when you are in grief, and if there is no one else to lead is that in order? I think we have reached about dealing with hurting in the ministry, and this one was to be handled by Julie. We'll be going back to the leadership because there are three questions about it. Julie, if I am wounded because you have told me I cannot serve when I'm not able to speak in tongues, or you have chased me out of the ministry, or something has happened at home, life happens, and you want me to lead. Can I lead, or can you allow someone to lead on the altar when they are wounded, when they are grieved in their heart? How do you handle that?
Okay. In this aspect, I think from the question that was asked by one of the viewers, I think if maybe you've lost someone, you're going through that kind of pain. That is like almost, I don't want to call it like a physical pain. That's a pain of losing someone that you to, and maybe you come to church and and they tell you that you have to lead. Let me take an example that I experienced on a personal level. We were going to serve somewhere, and a lady that we were serving with, unfortunately, had just had a miscarriage the night before, and she came in and she was asked to serve. That, for me, I think can carry two aspects if you're looking at it in the traditional part of what the Bible says in that kind of regard. But that was a loss for her. She lost a child. I think if in your personal relationship with God, because God says that you should give him thanks and you should praise him regardless of whatever situation you're going through, because nothing catches God by surprise. Everything where is aware of it beforehand. Now, so if you've lost someone or you're going through that kind of a pain and you feel that you're in a capacity because of your relationship, you see, if the relationship that you've been having with God, as Sir George has said, if you are
Mm. Julie's internet is causing grief on his end. Julie, are you still there? We've lost you for a minute. All right. Okay. We are talking about grief and wounds and how to serve when you are hurt. I personally have gone through that, and I'll want to give my story at the end of this. But Maurice, let me come back to you before I come to Sir George. How do you serve when you're wounded, or can you allow someone to serve when they're in such a situation? How do you handle it?
Uh, I'd say, and I take us back to what Sir George told us. Who are we serving? Because if it is Christ, then we are saying is above all. So yes, I'd allow a person to serve when they are grieving, because sometimes when you're serving in grief, it also deepens your reliance on God. So it's a delicate matter depending on who is in the grief and why do they feel the need to minister. So if they understand that whatever they are having is an assignment, like they are postmen, as much as they are grieving, and my viewers, please don't take this as a rude person. Eh, you shouldn't. If it is coming to the grief part, you really need to know that the Christ that you're serving can really take you out of that grief. So instead of just leaving the service, and one of the things that we say is the greatest sacrifice is the sacrifice of pain. When we are giving the sacrifices from our tithes and offerings, we are giving those sacrifices out of abundance, because you have a lot of money you're giving out of abundance. But when you're giving a service out of pain, then now that is a great sacrifice that the Lord will not despise. So when we are serving during the times of grief, let us understand that it is a sacrifice that we are doing, a huge sacrifice, and the Lord is saying that. Yes.
Right. All right. Julie, you were saying something before you were cut off by internet, but you can conclude it, and then I ask this question that is here.
No, I think that's Maurice has concluded it as I was concluding that we've been instructed to him in all situations, and if he's all that gift, I think it's prudent that you follow it through even when you're not comfortable. It's not only when you're comfortable with it.
All right.
Yeah, so I think either you're going through grief, you've been hurt, you've been wounded, that should not be your determining factor if you're going to go and stand and serve. That shows, to me, it speaks on character, which I think we will touch on later, on the kind of character that you have, that since I'm in pain, or since I was done for this, now I can't do this because so again, not to be rude, but I think I'm having
Okay. We are
sorry,
praying
I
for
think I'm
God.
having a funny connection, but yes, in conclusion, that's about it.
So we,
Maybe director, maybe a minute, and
okay.
the way we've said that, everything that we are giving to God, it should be only to God. So if at any case you'll feel like that grief will not allow you to put Christ at the center as the only focus. If when you're ministering, the only focus you'll have is your grief, it is also okay to take a sabbatical and at least step out to go heal. It's good to take a sabbatical to go and also be closer to God in a closer room. So if you feel that the grief you're passing through will not allow you to put Christ first, will not allow you to minister to the congregation as a first priority, to taking them to the presence of God, it is also good that you take a step back and let other people lead.
Okay. All right. Sir George.
Yes, sir. Just to add on what Judy and Morris have said, I think when it comes to that issue, it also depends with the maturity level of the person in question. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
it it depends on the maturity, because yes, the Bible will say in all things is God, worship God in all things. They will pass through trials and tribulations, but there are some people, trust me, because of their level of spirituality, they can't take that. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so it
Mm-hmm.
matters, like Morris has said, will that grief, as you are worshiping, will it remove God in the scene, or
Okay.
God will still remain there even if you are passing through trials and tribulations? So it calls for us to really.
That's where now mentorship and discipleship comes in, so that we can mature the saints and train our people to stand, even if we are grieving. God should remain God, and the assignment must be done. But like Morris has said, if your level does not require, that does not permit you to serve God freely when you are grieving, it's better you just take an off an off session, so that you do not just do it for the sake of it being done.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Amazing. All right, we will be having our friends from Liberia and Nigeria joining us in a few as we proceed with the conversation. But now I'm trying to ask myself this question, because I don't know if it's happening in Zambia and these other places, but in Kenya, I will tell you the truth. When we are grieved, that's when we go to studio and produce songs to diss our enemies. That's the moment we produce as many songs as possible. You know how we are going to mock our enemies. I've had some very funny songs that says, my enemies, you are going to see. We misuse this scripture of God prepare a table before my in front of my enemies. We are really misusing this scripture because we are going to come up with songs to make someone feel bad, you know, because of how much they hurt us. And this is what we are doing even in the worship ministry. So I'm trying to wonder, um, if you are telling me to minister and walk through my pain, don't you think I will come up with songs that are specifically ministering to me, and I'm actually projecting my emotions to the people? Because sometimes some people use worship teams as therapy sessions, and then the backup becomes the people that supports them. So you find someone is really crying in the midst of worship session, leading a song, choose a song that will trigger tears. And so the congregation starts crying, the worship team starts crying, the pastor even changes his sermon that was to preach that day. And To be honest, this is a person who is going through grief and is just having a therapy session. So how do we handle that? Because we have seen that in our worship ministry. As a leader, do you think it is in our space or in our bracket to really meddle into our members' business to find out if they are having personal issues so that we excuse them from ministry, that they may not come up with songs that are personal therapy sessions for them and hinder the move of God from happening, because they are happening in our worship team. I want to begin with you, Maurice.
Ah, yes. I think we started by saying there's this thing we say, most ministers do say when they are standing up. They say that they are carrying the presence of God. And we tell them, we shall know when you start singing, and we shall know when you start ministering. So I think this is a place of discernment that if we've really walked with Christ that much, then it is a place of discernment that you know that this ministration is from an emotional point of ministry, or this ministration is from the Spirit. Yes,
So what do you
discernment.
do?
So what do you do?
What do you do when you
You do
realize
when you realize
an
an
emotional
emotional
that is coming?
that is
How do
coming?
you
How?
Right. So one, you let them finish that service. It is not at my own point of it. It's not okay to stop somebody from ministering, because maybe through that ministration there is one congregant who was really being blessed, or they are passing through the same issue. So we are saying about leading is about leading the church as much as people will start leading themselves. So I'd say we would also seek to know our fellow ministers. That is at a personal level. Sometimes we do bonding. Sometimes, you cannot open up to a person who does not really know you. So I say we should really create that rapport in the music ministry that people can really open up, instead of going to open up in the altar. They can open up to us even in the rehearsals when we are having meetings. They can open up to us in the changing rooms, in the rehearsal rooms, and they tell you, Maurice, I'm not good mentally. I'm not good. I cannot lead. But the problem we are having is people have built walls around themselves, because we have not created that rapport between ministers that can help us be really free to communicate these issues with our friends and even our pastors. There's that one incident that you tell your pastor something maybe you're passing through, and it becomes the sermon for that day. So people have really built walls around their problems, so they just don't say it to anybody. And because as the first question I think the person asked was, he or she is the only person who can lead. So as much as they are passing through pain, they do not have a person, as Sir George has said, who can mentor them, and a person who can really open up to them. So I think we should create that rapport, and in creating that rapport between us as ministers, then we will really be able to know the weakest points of our fellow ministers and the strongest points of our fellow ministers, what they are passing through, and so on. There's this thing we say in ministry that you just come minister and go home, mind your own business. That is not a good perspective. Mostly when you're ministering as a team, we need unity, and it is not only unity in voice, it is not unity in harmony, it is not unity in instrumentation, even unity in thought, unity in emotion, and unity in love. So if we create that rapport between our members, that they can really open up to each and every one of us, then we won't have that problem of trying to discern if they are doing the right thing, because they have already told you that they are not well.
okay?
Okay. Okay.
In the current generation, Sir George, and when you be speaking, you can respond to this. We have had the sessions where what Maurice is saying is true. Worship leaders and even people in church, they have created walls. I'm not saying I go to clubs, but I can pretty tell you very sure that the people in the world, when they go to clubs and bars, they talk about their issues a lot, and they speak them out while drinking and laughing about them, and they get that healing coming out. But in church, you find we are very mean with ourselves. But one of the reasons is what Morris has said. You tell a pastor a problem, and then you become the sermon of the day. You become the Sunday sermon. It's like God has just spoken to me through what you have just said. In fact, I need to talk about this habit in church. I need to uproot this, and it becomes a sermon. The other part is when you tell a brother or a sister in church, it becomes an avenue for gossip. So you wonder people laughing at you, people looking at you from a different angle. And so it has created a wall in the worship ministry. And that's why you find someone is at pain with another person because they shared a story in secret, and the other one went and shared with someone else, and so they are at pain. And that's why even if someone comes and lead, they will even switch off their microphone, or they will move out of the worship team, never saying why they moved. Some of them will tell you, the grace just expired, the grace to serve just went, and I'm no longer interested in serving. But there is an underlying problem that we don't see, and I want you to hit the nail on the head, because this one is affecting even the pastor's family, because you find pastor's children are in the ministry, or pastor's wife is in the ministry, or pastor's husband is in the ministry, and so the team discuss things that relate to them. They open up some things, and you find these matters have reached the pastor's desk, and on Sunday he says, I want to meet the worship ministry after the service, and he gives you a lecture, and you ask yourself, who took the information and how did it reach at this point? And then it creates a very big rift between the pastor's family and the worship ministry, or even the person who went and gave this information. So please address this issue and be as blunt as possible.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I think 3 weeks ago, I was with my team. I was with my team in the vocal master class. So we were rehearsing. When we were done, I think we were all sitting on the floor. And then I did something unexpected that they were not expecting. So I asked one person to say, how are you doing? So tell us, how's everything? And then she was like, everything is fine. She was like, oh, okay. So you have a lot of money, everything is fine. And she was like, no. I need money. So I was like, no, tell us. How is life? How is everything? How's school? How are you managing? How are you eating? Who's paying your fees? Who's doing what? And so it became a moment where everyone now started pouring out what's in them. And you could see the challenges that your people are going through, and then in your heart you are like crying, you see. And these are the people that you minister with, and so everyone had to share what they are going through. I gave them a chance to really express themselves, and some even cried in that moment, you see. And now these are gifted people that you rely on, okay? But you look at, like, that's why it's very important to really culture our people, to really train our people. If you are a set man of any group, you must make sure, trust me, leadership is not easy. Leadership is like raising somebody from the dead, because people will come with issues, and so everyone poured their heart out. And then in the process, like I said, somebody cried, like they don't know if 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 if, if they'll go to school, you see. And then now me as a leader, I had to pray. I said, Lord, what do I do? And so I started now encouraging everyone from the word of God. But mind you, I also had to open up to them. So, okay, guys, this is the pressure that I'm in as a leader, as a leader. But I'm not going to break down, because this is just temporal. Okay, so I started encouraging everyone from the word of God, just to build that hope and trust to say, listen, your ultimate father and your ultimate provider is God, because you came from God through a man. That man, your parents, your mother and father, but your ultimate source is God, and He, being your ultimate source and provider, He has not failed. Okay, most of
Mm.
us, it's a process that we are going through. God is training us, and therefore we
Yeah.
cannot give up at this point. So I had to encourage them to just bring them back to their expected standard of thinking. Because if they were left hanging at that point, trust me, they can't minister well, because they're thinking about what are we going to eat tomorrow? What are we going to do? But I had to make sure that through the word of God, they are encouraged and have hope. And when they stand to minister, they'll minister effective. And what I said was, guys, what we have discussed, remember, we are a family here. It must remain here within ourselves. It should not go out there. So there is need for us to really put up standards and say, guys, listen, we all have issues. Trust me. And there's no need for us to start laughing at ourselves. You start laughing at your friend. Everyone goes through issues that maybe it's not your fault. But what's the point of me going out there and destroying my friend? Remember, we are a team, and once there is confusion, the whole team will be scattered, and that's what
Yeah.
the enemy looks for. Look at the people in Genesis, Genesis 11, where they were building the Tower of Babel that will reach heaven, and the Bible says the people had one language, and because of that language, they started building a tower that will reach heaven, because there was unity, there was oneness. But God says we need to confuse these guys. And the Bible says they were confused. And then, because of having too many opinions, they could not complete what they were building. And this is what is happening in most teams. If we cannot have one opinion and protect each other, trust me, we are destroying the team. And so, as a leader, as a set person for any, or a director of any worship team,
True.
we have a responsibility really to tell our people and just to explain the impact or the effects of us going behind the back and talk against our fellow members. So that really has to be something that is repeatedly taught to every member, to say, you are your brother's keeper, and there's no need of me going behind your back. We are one team. We must have one language.
All right, that's amazing, and it's really good, and I'm really learning a lot. So, Julie, what do you have to say about this?
Yes, I totally agree with what Sir George is saying. I think most of the things that I have experienced or I have seen in a lot of worship teams is that there is no unity, there is no love, there is not that committing to knowing what is Julie going through, what is Louise's issue, what is happening. We only meet on Saturday, we do our practice sessions, we meet on Sunday, and then that next Saturday again. There is not that aspect of a family like what Sir George is saying, which I think we need to start embracing, because wherever there is unity, God always commands a blessing. You know, we cannot be doing stuff just because I can sing, we can sing, everybody can sing. We need to be able to be our own brothers keepers. We need to be able to love each other to that extent where on a loose Thursday afternoon, I can call Louise and ask Louise, I noticed you were not okay on Friday. Is everything okay? And like what Sir George has said, once that platform and that situation has been allowed for us, you find people easily speaking. I can tell you what's going on with me because I've reached a place where I can trust you because I know you love me as your fellow worship minister. So I think we need to have that operate in a lot of love so that God can actually work in us and through us as vessels in the kingdom.
Wow, amazing. Now, there's a question here, Julie, just before you go,
Yeah.
saying, what if you being a topic of a sermon is not really a bad thing? What if it is calling you to develop tough skin? Maybe as a worshiper, you don't need to have any shame at all. Even when men address you, for the truth, they have got to deal with anyway.
Oh wow. Okay. I bet this is now to the men of God because I don't think the worship ministers do that. I don't know. I think a man of God also called in ministry has to operate in the spirit of wisdom, because maybe the person who came to you in confidence to tell you a problem did that because they're seeing you as your spiritual father. And so maybe they're in a fragile state. So going to announce them like that and making them into a sermon, it will probably not toughen their skin, you know. Let's not forget also we are humans before we are worshippers. You're a human being. You carry a lot of, people react differently to situations. So as a man of God or as a leader in that house, work with wisdom. Wisdom is profitable to direct. Work with wisdom. Don't break your house because you think that you're toughening your people. Have a session with your worship team members, like what Sir George was saying. Make it your habit to speak to them, know them on a personal level. There's a time I had a preacher who was saying that they spoke to somebody just like that, and they actually asked them, "Can I pray about this and use this context to preach?" So you're using it as a context, not directly speaking or making it me feeling like, I swear that's the story I was telling my pastor yesterday. That's what I'm saying. Wisdom is profitable to direct. Go and speak to God and see it. Even in prophecy, we know very well it's not everything that your God shows you that you bring out to people. So I think it should not be toughened skin like that. I don't think that we should be undressed like the old days for the truth. There should be some level of wisdom to apply in such matters.
Amazing. Wow. This is amazing. Now, if you have a member in your team and they are wounded as a leader, I think it's good what Sir George has said, to create a rapport and try to have conversations that are beyond revelations, that are beyond skill growth, that are beyond uh, spiritual. Get to know your people, get to know where they're coming from. Sometimes you might be hard on this brother who normally comes late, yet he walks every day 5 kilometers to come to church, and you're
That's right.
always busy. You're always busy on their neck. Why are you always late? You're not serious with the ministry. You need to mature up. Yet this guy walks on foot, and he wants to leave early because he knows if he gets late, things will not be okay from his end. So it is good to know your members where they are. Some of them even slept outside. Some of them slept hungry. And on that note, please, worship leaders, let's stop telling people to, why are you singing like you didn't take tea? Some of them didn't take tea. It's true. Some of them might have actually not taken tea. So when you use that as a joke, it's actually a bad joke. You can't tell them like, no, you're lifting your hands. Your hands are so weak. You look like you did not eat for 7 days. Yes, there are some who did not eat for 7 days. So let us actually be emotionally sensitive,
Sensitive.
yeah,
Yeah.
to know what to say and when to say. I'm loving this conversation. Now I want to switch gears a bit, and we touch something about vocal health, and because we're talking about food in this essence, and we talked about having understanding our ministries and being effective in what we do. Sir George, when we talk about vocal health, what exactly do we mean? Is it
Okay.
is it a prescription in the hospital that means vocal health?
Okay. I think when we talk about vocal health, what we mean basically in simple terms is you having a quality voice that is able to, for example, minister without any strain, without any difficulties. In other words, we simply mean you taking care of your voice because your voice is an instrument. And because your voice is an instrument, there are things that we need to look out for so that our voice is able to function. Okay, so we are basically looking at the functionality of the voice when we talk about vocal health. Okay, I think that's in simple terms.
Okay, so how do we maintain it? How do I maintain a good vocal health as a singer? Is it something I pray for? Is it a specific food I eat? What are the things that are needed for me to have a good vocal health? And now all of you are vocal teachers here. Please educate us.
Okay. So should I go first, or maybe ladies first? We allow Julie to take that up.
Let's allow Julie to give us the recipe for this one.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Well, to maintain a good vocal, vocals, your vocal cords are muscles like any other part of your body. They need to be taken care of. Otherwise, then they will lose their strength. So I think the number one for me that I always tell people is that you need to stay hydrated. I don't know if there's a scientist in the house. If there's a scientist in the house, if I am wrong, please correct me. That we are made up of more water in the body than anything else. So I think you need to keep your vocal cords and your body well hydrated by drinking your water. You also, of course, we know very well that you need to rest your vocal cords after you've gone through maybe a session of worship, or you've gone through training, or whatever it is that you are doing. And there's one thing that we always ignore. You wake up on Sunday, because okay, sorry, I was going to speak in Swahili, because we did our practice session on Saturdays, and you've gone to sleep, so you think you've done enough exercise. But you need to understand that before you get or engage your vocal cords, you need to give them some like immediate exercise, like some warm-ups, some cool downs after sessions, some warm-ups before you sing, by starting on the lower octaves and going up, not immediately hitting soprano 20. And so your vocal cords are your instrument. They are a muscle. They need to be hydrated. They need to rest. Do not misuse your voice by over speaking, shouting, screaming, drinking a lot of caffeine and other things. So yes, there's some food that you can eat that can affect your vocal cord. Maybe
All
Sir
right.
George can continue on
Sir
that.
George, you can continue the recipe from there.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much. Just like Julia said, yeah, really, we have to take note of the things that we do to ourselves. For example, she touched on staying hydrated. Okay. As a singer, you must always ensure that you take enough water, and not cold water, but room temperature water. What happens is when you take cold water, cold water constricts the muscles, like it makes the muscles to shrink. Okay, the muscles that are supposed to be flexible when you are singing. When you take a cold liquids, what you are doing is you are making your muscles to shrink, and then you cannot sing effectively. So staying hydrated is very important, and take room temperature. Okay, so those of you who are watching me who like getting ice from the fridge, stop. Stop. Stop eating ice. As a singer, trust me, you must take care of your voice, because what you are doing is you are straining your muscles, and then it will be hard for you to sing. Okay. Also, she mentioned about caffeine. Caffeine, what caffeine does is caffeine dries the throat, it sucks out the water. So it makes your throat to be dry. Okay. That's a danger of caffeine. So caffeine dries your throat, and once you take caffeine, like it makes you like lose a lot of water. So you must be careful as a singer when it comes to taking caffeinated uh, anything that has got caffeine, including chocolate. Hallelujah, ladies, including
Amen.
chocolate. Including chocolate. Chocolate has got caffeine, and you can bear witness with me that once you take chocolate, you feel like you are dry on the throat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because of the caffeine content. Okay, so you must make sure that you watch over what you take in. Again, also, banana. Listen, banana is good for energy, but when you eat banana, you find that you have mucus on your throat, like you are congested. So banana also congests the throat, but it's good for energy. So what you need to do is, once you take banana, you need to take something like pineapple. Pineapple clears. It clears. So if you take something and you feel congested, take pineapple. Pineapple is good. Oh, okay. Also, too much sweet things is not good for a singer. Sweets. You're going to sing. You are having a sweet in your mouth and you are singing. That sugar builds up mucus as well. So you must make sure that as a singer, you are really taking care of your voice, because these things, they won't allow you to function uh, at your best level. Okay. So when we talk about vocal health, we want you to function at your best level without
Okay.
any constraint. Okay. Let me mention the last one before I allow maybe Maurice or Jude to take it up. Also, there are people who love singing high notes which are beyond their vocal range.
Mm.
Okay. So a range is a combination of low notes and high notes that you can sing easily without any difficulty. Okay. But we have people who love shouting too much. You have the microphone, you are still shouting. You are still singing on top of your voice. And once you are done singing, you find that you have developed a hoarse voice, or your voice has gone, simply because you are singing without intelligence. You do not understand to say, okay, what happens if I stretch myself beyond my range? I'll cause my voice to crack. So vocal health also entails us that we need to sing within our range. Of course, there's a process of increasing one's range.
All right.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So let me leave it at that, and allow others to come in.
Yeah, I've talked about chocolate, and there are so many people making noise about chocolate here.
Yes. So our coaches, Coach Julie and Sir George, have really tackled it. So vocal health is the state of your voice uh, on and off the stage, before and after the stage. So you need to know what works for your voice. You need to understand what works for your voice. There is something when we are teaching we call blend and balance. Most of the times we are really provoked by the instruments that we tend to shout. We are trying to compete with the instruments instead of noticing that now the instruments are way up loud. Now we have to take the instruments a little bit down. So we are trying to fight with the dynamics of the band, and we end up hurting our voices. So when you're speaking about the state of your voice on and off stage, and before and after singing, so people will really avoid some things on Saturday because they are singing on Sunday, but they are taking those things from Monday to Friday. So the amount of the diversity of things that you take and consume during the weekday will really affect the things that Sir George is speaking about, your range. So when it comes to musical excellence, there are disciplines that you have to keep, not because these things are affecting your body. No, it is because they are affecting your only powerful instrument. That is the voice. So the congregant is okay eating those ice creams, but for you and for the sake of your instrument, you really have to keep some disciplines. If it is ice cold water, don't take it. All right. So there'll be a very huge difference, and it will be seen either on stage or off stage between a person who keeps the disciplines of vocal health and a person who does them and then they go and try to make up for whatever they did. Right. You're taking a lot of juices. So when you go for the rehearsal, you want to sing a lot for you to make up for the faults that you did. Then there's that person who just stayed clear the whole week. They just drank water and they practiced the right way. The other thing they have spoken about is vocal technique. If you do not understand the kind of vocal technique that you're supposed to use in a certain place, take for example belting. If you're belting on high keys, the probability that you're belting out of your range is very high. So one of the things that will help us keep a tight vocal health is we really should adhere to the right vocal techniques. If it is the time for belting, belt on a comfortable key. If it is the time for doing chants, these chants are really making people lose their voices. If it is the time for doing all these vocal techniques that we have in yodeling, people are doing all those register lips and jams and octaves. You really need to understand the type and the ability that you have. So when you know what works for your voice, then also it is good to acknowledge the level at which you are musically. So we are going out there taking songs from YouTube and we are trying to hit or do the techniques that those songwriters did. And yet those techniques are not yet in our vocabulary. We do not know them. So through the process of mimicking, we mimic bad habits. And these bad habits, the more they accumulate, we end up losing the vocal stability that we should have. So as my seniors have said, as much as we are trying to keep a good vocal health, let us adhere to the rules, because your music director will not be with you at your home. So it is your part to play. It is your part to stay disciplined, to stay away from those ice cold drinks, away from those spicy foods. So long as you want to become an excellent singer, you need to keep these disciplines. Yes.
Wonderful.
Wonderful. Great.
Yes, I think maybe just to add on what Maurice has said, maybe to the music directors.
Directors.
Sometimes we
we
demand what we have not invested in our
in our
and make them to do
and
complicated
them
things
do
that
complicated
will
things
end up
that will end
damaging
up
their purpose.
damaging their purpose.
You have not trained your
You
people
have
to do
not
certain
trained your
things,
people to do certain
but
things,
you bring
but
a
you
complicated
bring
song.
a
You
complicated
want
song.
them
You
to
want
do
them
it
to do
in the
it
exact way,
in the
but
exact way.
you see,
But you see,
they have no idea.
they have no idea.
You have not
You have
trained them.
not trained
You
them.
stretch
You
them
stretch
from
them,
day to
stretch
the
them,
day.
day to
You
the
are
day.
going to damage their vocal. So the best is what you want to see in your people. Start depositing in it. Start training them, and then you will get there.
Absolutely, yeah. I totally agree with what Minister Morris and Sir George have said. But I think the only thing I can add on to that about taking care
about taking care
of yourself and
your
taking care of your health is that you need to take care of yourself wholesomely and make it a lifestyle, even including doing your exercises for your lungs, because when you're learning how to do breath control, if you don't have strong lungs, that can also affect your delivery. And one thing that I want to point out, and I heard Sir George talking about it, is eating spicy food. There are people who have acid reflux, and if you don't know, acid reflux comes back up and can damage your vocal cords over time. So watching what you're eating as a music minister, taking care of your instrument, the same way you take care of your baby, take care of your home, take care of your car for the dudes who have cars, and your shoes, it's the same way you need to take care of your vocal cord, because if you eat a food that causes reflux, over time, every time you're feeling like you're burning in your throat, even if you're doing every other thing right, and you're eating food that is not correct for your stomach, it'll come back to affect your vocal cord. So let's be mindful of that. And also let's not ignore sometimes if you're using your voice,
if you're using your voice.
there's feedback from my end. I'm sorry about that. We tend to overuse our voice. I know some ladies and gentlemen who are full-time music ministers, and sometimes you don't even have time to break in between. You understand? So even having checkups on your vocal cords when you feel that something is not right, when you're feeling like you've overstrained your voice, don't feel shy to take a rest. Take a day or two. That's all it takes, because you've like I said earlier on, it's like exercise. Of course, if you exercise too much, you know how your body reacts. Same thing with our vocal cords. So let's listen to also what our bodies are telling us, in as much as we want to use and utilize our vocal cords the right way. I see somebody here asking, is ginger, lemon, and garlic tea okay? Sir George, do you want to take that up? Ginger,
Well,
lemon. I have my own opinion about ginger and about lemon, but you take it up.
Maurice, I saw Maurice laughing. So I think Morris needs to take that question
Morris,
and
tell us.
I just laugh because it's like ginger bottles are the bottles of power. Yeah.
Hey.
People carry ginger bottles. There is that mentality that if you have a bottle of ginger there, then you're carrying power. And there's that the service was very, very powerful, right? So ginger water is only if you're trying to treat your vocal cords. It's not something that you should do normally if your voice is okay. So if your voice is okay, just do room temperature water. That's that. You cannot treat something that is not ill. That is the problem we are having.
Sir George, what's your take on that?
I agree with Morris. I agree with Morris. That's my take. So Judy, what's your
Yes.
take?
My take is ginger is good. It's an antioxidant and it helps with your body, many things in your body. As far as lemon is concerned, lemon dries up your vocal cords. It has acidic levels that are very high. So you should not do anything like that for your throat. You see, I see people carrying that bottle Morris is talking about, and you're drinking it before we go to there, you're drinking it after in between the sessions. Instead of drinking water, you need to just hydrate that your vocal cord. Now you're drinking acid, it just kills everything. Then some of them you add honey on top of that. So now there's sugar there, there's acid there, there's ginger. I mean, no, let's not do that. Steve Ongaro, just let's drink water. After that, in the middle of the week, if you're not doing anything, do your lemon ginger water to just, just make your throat feel nice and happy. So for the lemon ginger, and another one that I saw somebody asking me on my DMs, perhaps Maurice, you can tell us, is drinking hot tea or hot stuff, like hot. What does that do to your vocal cords when you drink hot stuff?
Anything when you're speaking, the muscles of the vocal folds are very fragile. It's like the eyelid. If you take something closer to the eyelid, it becomes very sensitive. So anything that is out of the extremes, either to too much cold or too much hot, will really cause inflammations in your vocal folds. And with those inflammations in your vocal cords, the vibrations that we need for perfect pitch, the vibrations that we need also for even the vocal techniques that we're using will not be possible. So you will be trying to do a certain vocal technique, or you're trying to sing, and because already your vocal folds, your voice box, the valves that are in there, they are already inflamed because of the extremes you've given them, then your ministration will not be right. So please avoid the extremes, too hot or too cold. Yes.
Judy, I don't know if you guys have come across this, where I think somebody has sent me a WhatsApp message before. I think not just one, not just two, I think more, where they're asking me this question to say, I hear that swallowing the whole banana, like without like if you swallow the banana, it opens up your vocal cords. Have you guys heard of that? Like you swallow the whole banana. And I'm like, you want to kill yourself? I don't know
That
if
does
you,
not even make sense.
yeah, and it opens up your vocals when you swallow the whole banana. And I'm like, how do you even manage to do that?
I don't think that
I don't
has
think that
to be
has to be
medically intelligently to swallow a whole banana. So I don't think that is anything true, because if maybe they are thinking swallowing a banana because it is smooth, it will slide, and maybe they think it will open up your. Maybe some people probably think, like I went through someone a page, they were writing and saying that the more you open your mouth, the more you sing loud, the more you increase your range, which is not true. I think there's some very many misconstrued information about how to increase your range and how to open up your vocal cords. So swallowing a banana is not advisable at all. Let's not try that. You can choke and get yourself in trouble.
Yeah.
Samoris?
Summary.
That's really true. This is even in the scriptures. My people are perishing for the lack of knowledge.
Yes.
Yes.
This banana can literally kill you, or you faint on the altar. We stop worshiping. We start taking you to the emergency room because of your lack of knowledge. So please, there are even things that we do and they really mess up with our stomach comfort. Like your leading and your stomach is very at a very high level of discomfort because of the things you took. So please, if you're trying to do anything that is vocal and you do not have any person who is qualified to train you, are always qualified to teach you. Please abstain from anything that you do not know the reality of it. And this is also when we speak about vocal health. Please do not get feedback from just your friend. Your fellow off pitcher is the only person who is giving you feedback. You need to get feedback from you really need to get feedback from a person who is qualified. Now, there is this problem that we have, like your friend can tell you your problem, but they cannot give you solution because they also still need the solution. So as much as I can tell Teacher Julie, you are singing off, I really need to give Teacher Julie the remedy. What can you do? What is the solution for this? So the solution that we are getting in the music ministry vocally, we are trying to get shortcuts to doing things, shortcuts to singing high notes. People think like when you lift your head like this, when you're looking up to God for high notes, you cannot do that. There's how these things are working. So if the person you are working with cannot explain, cannot give you solution, cannot give you uh, 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 physical demonstrations of what you're supposed to be doing, then you're in a bad place. And this is something we have as a problem in a lot of worship teams. We do not have trainers. Coach Julie, we do not have trainers. People are really, they are the singers. We have sung in this church for 10 years. What are you telling us? Eh? So we have really neglected the part of being taught, the part of a qualified person in the places of worship. Like we cannot pay music directors to come and teach us. When a vocal session exceeds 300, that is too much. That is too much. And so we are really. There was a time I asked some of my students, for how long have you sung? 10 years. And then I asked them, why are you still singing off key for 10 years? You've been in the music ministry for 10 years. And you find it because they have not had guidance on what to do. Because if you get a good coach, that coach will really guide you even vocally what you're supposed to do, because they will learn your voice, they will learn how your voice works, so they'll give you exactly what works with your voice. The problem we have is we do not have people to guide us. We are the only weapon formed against ourselves, our vocal selves, because we do. To you, Teacher Julie.
Oh, so true. I totally agree. We need to get skilled, and if you don't have, if it doesn't come naturally for you, please agree to be taught. Let's not feel we are not teachable. We have to have a teachable spirit. And even as we're waiting for the director to continue or come back, there's a question that has been posted online about how can you gradually grow your range, your vocal range. Sir George, I think you can take us through that.
Okay, okay, great, great. Okay, thank you so much for that question. Okay, so like I said at first, a range is a combination of low notes and high notes that you can sing easily. Let's say, for example, your highest note that you can hit, for example, your range, your highest key is B. Okay, and then beyond that, your voice strains. So how you improve your range is like this, because remember, you have muscles here that are trying, that you are trying to force to do certain things that have not been done before, and as a result, you are getting strain. So what you do, if your range, for example, is from F to B, and then you want to increase your range, do not move from B to D, because the next note, for example, after B is C. So the best way is move step by step. Don't move from step 1 to step 5. That is very harmful. So what you can do is from step 1, you move just one step forward. Stay on that step, practice until your muscles are flexible enough to hit that note easily. When you can hit that note easily, increase by 1 again. Practice that range, practice that range, practice that range. When you become comfortable, increase again like that. The danger is we want to move from step 1 to step 7 without giving ourselves time. Remember, it takes time. It's not just a one-day thing. Okay, so you must be patient enough. That's where now the fruit of the Spirit comes in, patience. You must be patient enough and give yourself time to say, okay, in the next 2 weeks, I'll be working on hitting this note. Once I can manage to hit the note easily without any challenges, I can now increase to the next note. So you'll be moving from one step to the other and not from step 1 to step 7. So that's how you can improve. So get some vocal warm-ups that, for example, we've done a lot of warm-ups on our page on increasing your range. Okay, so get a certain warm-up, train with that, gauge yourself where your limit is. Okay, once you've identified where your limit is, identify uh, the next key where you are trying to stretch to. Practice that. Practice that over and over again. When you can sing that comfortably, increase to the other one. Just like that. So Maurice, maybe you can add.
Yes, that is true, Sir George. Most of the times when we are trying to increase our ranges, we do not even know we are increasing our ranges from where to where. And when we are speaking about a range, we are speaking about uh, uh, the span of notes a singer can sing. And this is in all registers, your chest voice, your mix, and your head register. So we increase our range gradually and most importantly through a daily vocal routine. One of the things I do with my students is the solfege. The solfege, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do, on a daily basis. So the more you're doing these warm-up exercises, maybe using the vowels, the more you're trying, one, to create stamina for even that range expansion. When you're trying to expand your range, you one must make sure that you are not hurting your vocal folds. You're not causing injury. And that is what Sir George has said. You really you increase your range gradually, possibly by just one note, possibly by like just one, but through a regular practice routine. And when you're trying to increase your range, please do not take songs that are on high key and try to sing them and say that you've increased your range. When we are increasing our ranges, we are moving from the registers that we have, the chest to the mix to the head register. So you're supposed to choose exercises that will really exhaust all the three registers that you're working with. So if it is the solfege exercises and you've started them on C, do them on C, go to the next key, then you can feel. Now, Sir George, I'm feeling this is becoming now a class by itself, because when you're increasing your range, you should understand this is how the extremes of my chest voice sound. This is how the extremes of my mix sound. And this is how the extremes of my head register sounds. So when you're trying to increase the range, you will know now this is my breaking point, what the classicals are calling the passaggio. When you feel that note, now it is upon you now to start noticing that this is the highest note I can sing now. Now let me do this thing again. Now, and the other one is the vocal technique that we are using, even for the high notes. People have the wrong idea about how we sing high notes. So, range expansion. It is working through vocal exercises on a daily basis. And when we are speaking about range exercises, please let us not run to the YouTube and Google, give me range exercises. You really need a person to guide you through your range exercises. And this is one thing I tell singers: if your keyboard player has a very minute knowledge about the piano, you really have a lot of work to do, because when we are coming for the rehearsals, we are trying to work through those exercises, the solfege exercises, the chromatic exercises, using the vowels, the pentatonic exercises. Those are things that we are doing when you are coming for rehearsals. But if when you just come for rehearsal, you just tell them, give me the key, they give you B, and you start singing, you are in a problem. So for you to extend your range, know where it is at now, understand your level, then start increasing it one by one, and we increase this by vocal exercises on a daily basis. You can do the hums, the lip trills, the those are they come very handy when when we are trying to do this. So vocal warm-ups, they really work very well with range extensions. Teacher Julie.
Yes, that's very insightful. Yeah, because we tend to overuse and misuse our voice. Then you find that even where you could have reached, you can never reach because you went there too soon. Let's take be patient with training our voices to be able to withstand the stretch. Don't jump because I want to sing like Jacqueline Carr or Natasha Cobbs. Now I'm jumping to wanting to sound like them. No, carry your voice the way it can carry you. There are some people I listen to and they sing on the lower scale and it's amazing. It sounds wonderful. It's not a matter that if you can't sing a high note, you're not sounding good. No, know your range and stick on your range and exercise on a daily basis. So I think that's
Uh,
amazing.
Jody,
Sir
so
George?
what I've noticed is um, one mistake that I've seen in most singers is trying to expand the higher range at the expense of
Mm,
the lower range.
of the lower
Remember,
range.
also a low range is a range as well that needs to be
Mm,
developed, because we
mm,
have people who cannot really sing low notes. All
mm,
they're thinking of in their mind is I must hit that high note. But what about
mhm,
that? What about the low note? So you must expand both your lower register and your higher register.
mm.
Don't just be limited to singing high notes. When it's time to do low notes, you can't do it because
Yes,
you have not been training yourself to sing low notes. In your mind, you think when you do a low note, then you've not sung. No, I think we need to get rid of that narrative where
mm,
whether a low note or high note, we're supposed to balance. Singing is
yes.
not just about you being up there, up there, up there. No. So singers, let's learn to balance the two. Develop both your high range and your low range.
Mm. And I think that is very, very correct because we tend to think that singing on the upper range is beautiful. But I think having that skill and that technique to be able to start your song and end it properly, seamlessly, beautifully without hurting yourself and hurting the people who are listening to you. Again, we need to understand as ministers that whatever you're delivering should also sound pleasing to the people that you're delivering it to. Let it not be noise and upsetting to our ears so that we can translate the message in a way that is excellent. Sir George, somebody is asking a question regarding uh, balancing breath control and issuing power while you're singing and where we're leading on stage. What is the right balance and how do they do and where should we get feedback from as to your delivery?
Okay. So, like Maurice has said, trust me, um, to master your breath management techniques, trust me, it takes practice. Remember, this is an art, okay? This is an art.
Mm,
That's why we need to have people that we can look up to, people who can correct us and say, no, there what you're supposed to do is ABC, okay? So the best thing is, if you know that's your weakness, spend more
mm,
time developing that,
there. Mhm,
okay? Get get materials in line with your weakness. and stay there until you master it. Okay.
Mm.
So find somebody who can help you, who understands these things, so that they can give you feedback to say, okay, you're supposed to do this like this, you're supposed to do that by that. But everything borders around practice.
Mm.
And when I say
Mm.
practice, I don't mean 5 minutes practice, you are done. No,
Yes. Yeah.
quality time, quality time. Invest quality time in that, because because most of us, we are in a rush. I don't know where we're rushing to. See, we want to get everything. You know, I have people who contact me, say, am I going to know how to sing in 1 month? And then I'm thinking, I'm like, why is the, it's like
The
they do not
urgency.
have, yes, you know, that urgency. They do not have the patience to stay and master it. But all they are thinking of, by month end, in 1 month,
Mm. Mm.
they want to do everything and become professional singers. I said it doesn't work like that.
Mm-hmm.
So the best thing is, let people identify their weakness. Okay.
Yes.
And if your neighbor, if your weakness is your neighbor's strength, be humble enough to just ask how they are doing it. Don't be
Mm-hmm.
too proud. Don't be in competition with anyone. Just compete against yourself.
Sure.
So let's find people who can really guide us and give us feedback on how best we can do certain things. But remember, to be good at something, you must practice. It won't
Mm-hmm.
come. In fact, good singing won't come by prayer and fasting.
Mm.
Prayer and fasting will bring the anointing. Trust me. But good singing, you must practice. There's nothing like I need to pray. The no. You must practice. Must practice.
Mm. Or you pray and say, let the spirit of David fall upon me now. No, practice makes perfect. Minister Morris?
This is I'd say most of us singers, we are lacking the know-how. We are really rushing to the results of the things that we want to do, but we are lacking the know-how. We cannot lead
Mm.
ourselves if we do not have our voice coaches. We cannot do anything by ourselves until we are told what to do. So if we could get the know-how, take for example the breathing. A lot of singers do not know how to breathe for singing, let alone how to hold the breath. There's the singers who breathe by lifting their upper body part up. So as much as we are trying to teach them how to manage their breath, their upper body parts will not allow them. We will be working against them. So if we as singers will try to get the know-how, the knowledge of this is how it is done, things like harmony. And you know, Coach Julie, practice makes perfect, but this perfect might be the wrong perfect because you might be practicing the wrong thing. So if you practice the wrong thing, you'll become perfect on the wrong thing. So I tell people, imagine becoming a perfect of pitcher or a perfect of right? So I tell people that it is perfect practice that will make permanent, because we already have those people that you cannot take them back to good singing because they have already practiced
Perfected.
bad habits for 10 years. Coach Julie, 10 years somebody has been singing my microtones. You know microtones, they are on key and they are not on the key. So you are like, "Hey, can you say you are stand buana?" And
Mm.
so we
You
have
cannot be
really,
found
You
in my
cannot be
understanding.
found if you understand.
we cannot find you, brother, sister, and so we really need to get the know-how of how to do things. So perfect practice makes permanent. So make sure the thing that you're practicing is the right thing, then you'll get the results. As Sir George has said, get a person who can give you the right feedback, not your fellow friend who is also struggling with singing praises and you're taking feedback from them. So get a person who can really help you step by step on how to do these things. I would also say the genres that you are choosing, breath management is different on different level of genres. When we are singing praises, the amount of breath and the instances and the specks of breath that we are taking is very different from when we are leading worships. Because when we are leading worship, we are really needing a lot of sustaining and a lot of legatos as opposed to praises. So there comes those people who cannot sing praise, but they are good in in worship, and they cannot wish. There are others who cannot sing worship, but they say, no, no, don't give me praise. I'm not good in praise. We really need to understand these things. The also the amount of energy you are putting to something. You are jumping until it's like you're breaking the stage. It's like you're becoming an athlete, and you have the microphone, right? Teacher Julie, you can concur with me. I've seen this, especially when we are singing our native songs, our tribal songs. It is really very, Sir George, let me tell you, I don't know if you have it in Zambia, but it is really hard to have harmonies on praises from our tribal groups. When it becomes tribal, there are no harmonies. There are no rules about singing. We just get into it, right? And I tell people that if you could get the principles of singing, that you know the energy you are using, and also the way Sajo just said, know your ability, your level of breath. So if a certain song is really asking for a lot and you're not yet on that level, you could give it out to your friend until you practice and make it perfect. So as Sajo just said, and teacher Coach Julie, practice makes perfect. Not just practicing breathing on Monday and you're set for the week. It is on a daily basis, and it is on a. You know that there was a time I really had practice until I felt like my voice box is getting out. There is how you practice until your body is accustomed to what you're supposed to be. Not trying to have a conflict with your body on Sunday. We said no, we said you should breathe like this, and your body is telling you, no, I know how to breathe like this. So it becomes very tough on the altar, because you are telling your body to do what you have not trained it to do. So if you need to do something with your body, train it how to do it. Yes, Coach Julie.
That's true. That's true. I think what I'm gonna take home as from Minister Morris is perfect practice makes permanent results. Let's not assume that you're doing a practice and it's perfect. Allow that somebody who is able to teach us, so we practice and stay practiced in a permanent way. So I think that is very good. Welcome back, Director. And I think from there now you can pick it up and proceed on.
No, not really. Thank you. I was enjoying the conversation behind the scene. I just received a call from one of one of the facilitators was supposed to be here, and so I had to attend to it also at the same time. We're sorry that he's having some emergency of a sick mother, so we are praying for you. And all will be well. Minister Bijas from Nigeria, he was supposed to be here with us, and all is well. Also, Sir Michael from Liberia, he actually is doing exams, law exams, so they have extended for quite a while, and so we are praying for you that you may pass those exams, which is amazing. Now, our time is actually up, and I'm wondering, they are like, I'm looking at the screens, and we are having over 20 questions. I don't know what you're going to do about this. And I need to release you guys. It's 10 p.m. right here in Kenya. I don't know. What's the time in Zambia right now, Sir George?
This is 9 p.m.
It's 9 p.m. All right. So this has been amazing. And actually, I'm seeing my director at KTV watching the show. God bless you so much. So this is just a tip of the iceberg of what we are going to do in April 2025, from 10th of April 2025. Please mark your calendars. If you are able to book a flight, or you can start running during that time, you'll be here in Nairobi, Kenya. We are going to have a mega worship convention that we're going to have these sessions live here from 10th of April 2025. So start preparing early, start working out early your plan, so that we meet here. All the guys you have seen on the screen, they'll be coming here in Kenya, and they'll be coming with their worship teams and worship leaders, with their wives, with their husbands, with their girlfriends, with their boyfriends, and with their family members, so that have a session together to just have team building. Actually, we'll do a lot of team buildings for worship teams here in Kenya, so that we are on the same platform. Now we are going to have this discussion in the group to look at what we need to do about these questions, because there's a public demand here that we need to have another session of this nature, and we're going to look at it. If it's possible through our partners, we see what we can do. KTV, thank you for streaming this program and making sure it is coming on board. So if there is that demand, we are going to sit down and then plan for the next time we are going to have this, because it's like we're having more of question and answer. Actually, you have not touched even the topics that you're supposed to touch. We have just touched a few of them. So that simply tells you that there is a lot in the body of Christ that needs to be addressed. And God has appointed some of us at such a time as this to be a beacon of hope and to actually show the light and be the light into the worship ministry. So so many questions about being wounded, so many questions about burnout, so many questions about vocal health and doing harmonies. So we are going to look at that, and some questions about leadership also that we did not tackle. We're going to handle that. So for those of us who have been watching this program, I see guys from Uganda, I see guys from Kenya, I see guys from Zambia, I see guys from Liberia actually watching. I see someone from Morocco also is tuned in. Thank you so much. This has been, I see some few friends of mine from South Africa and they are here. They're saying for the first time we have spoken English from start to finish, so we have not brought in Kiswahili. So they so they are not floating, which is really amazing. And now I want to appreciate all of you, and we thank you guys. Thank you, Sir George, for creating time. I don't know, you just came and parked your car, you have not even entered your house to have this conversation going. Sir Morris, thank you so much. Julie, thank you. I want to invite Banis also, who is our director of Global Music Academy. He's been in the shadows. Please say hi. I know you are there. Say hi and tell us something.
The Bluetooth device is connected successfully.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, how are you?
It's great pleasure to be here.
Alice,
I'm
you've
just
come in
getting
your bag.
connected. As you've heard, I'm just getting connected. I'm so glad to be here today just to learn from you guys, to listen to how we are going to tune the entire ministry. And you know, when the globe is tuned to one song, then we are going to have ministry that is going to flow. So you don't have to go to Zambia and you're a stranger anymore. You don't have to go to Land, you're a stranger anymore. You don't want to come to Kenya and feel like this is a different place. You are in the USA. No, you just need to be at home. You need to feel at home. And sometimes the ambience is just created by such platforms. When we have mastered the correct discipline and we can apply it globally, then we are able to be accepted wherever. There is no need for me going to Zambia and start feeling like, nah, I'm in a new country. I must behave like Romans do. No. So it's very encouraging and it's a blessing to those who have been able to attend this forum, those who have been able to come to this convention. May God bless you so much, and I love you guys so much. Thank you so much, Director. Back to you.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Banis, for that wonderful, wonderful comments. We thank you also for being here. Now, I've just shared my number on that screen, and I'd like to plug some of you to some of these facilitators who are here. For those who are in Zambia, I want to plug you to Vocal Master Class. Those who are in Kenya, and we can get this conversation going behind the scene. Sir George has a music class going on in Udemy, right? Please just say something about that so that people can enroll and also learn something from that.
Okay, thank you so much. So what I've done is I've created a course. It's on Udemy. that can be accessed from anywhere in the world. So it doesn't matter where you are right now. So the course is there on Udemy. I'm sure I've been posting the link on my page. So now in this course, you learn ear training, note accuracy, harmony, there's speech, there's intonation, there's a number of vocal exercises that you can use so that you are equipped for the work of the ministry. Remember, we said it's all about doing things with understanding, skill, and excellency. And so you get those ingredients in the course that I have done. We spent time in prayer preparing for the same course. So we've done that course just for you. And the good part is once you enroll, you have access to the material forever. You have access to the material forever. So if you're in a home where maybe you are the 5 of you who sings, you can just enroll, and then everyone will have access to that material. So I encourage everyone, because I've been getting like thousands of WhatsApp messages just for people to do online classes. So I thought to say, since I cannot divide myself, let me just create something that people can use. So me and my people, we created something that you can use. And trust me, once you dive into the course, definitely you will improve. You will improve by force. You will improve by force. So I'm encouraging those of us who really want to take it seriously. Remember, you must invest. There's a cost to anything. So invest in your gift, and you won't regret. Thank you, sir.
Amazing. Thank you so much. That is Sir George Vocal Masterclass in Zambia. You can just follow them. And if not, you can pick my number. That is the number for Global Worship Leaders Forum. We will surely direct you. Banis, do you want to say something about the academy that you are running as we wind up? Are you still there?